So let's say you've prepared your small group conversation, connected with your few, helped your few connect with each other. Now, finally, you can start having a conversation about faith, right? Well, almost. Now just hang in there a minute and think about this. Who was the last person you had an honest, open, meaningful conversation with? I bet it wasn't with your store cashier or a stranger from the bike path. I bet it was with a best friend, your parents, or your mentor. And the kids in your group are no different. They can have honest conversations about things that matter, not with just anybody, anywhere, anytime, but they will need to have them in a safe place. A kid won't feel known until someone knows them. Really knowing your small group is a big deal, because before a kid can know God loves them, they may need to be known by people who know God. If you want your small group conversations to matter more, know them. And not just your favorites. You've got to know every single one of your few. If you know them, you'll know things like their name, birthday, family, talents, favorite pizza toppings. You'll know about their week, friends, exam on Monday, game on Friday, and a new favorite song. That might seem like a lot, and we're not saying know all of those things about every kid, but if you want your few to feel known, you need to know them. Here's a few ways to know your few. Number 1, know their worlds. There are certain things that would be good to know before your small group conversation begins. Before you ask what they're doing this weekend, it would be good to know that Friday is Lisa's birthday. And the more you know about a kid's world, the better your conversation will be. This will help you know what to say, what not to say, when to celebrate, when to challenge them, and when to comfort them. And you actually don't need a small group conversation to teach you something about a few's world. Follow their parents on social media, follow up on prayer requests, or show up at their dance recital or basketball game. Number 2, know their personalities. Now this is just a guess, but I'm going to assume that your small group has several different types of personalities. And I'm also going to assume that managing those personalities can sometimes be a challenge, especially when you're trying to lead a small group conversation. So you need to know your extroverts. They've got a lot to say. They'll fill the room with energy, but also sometimes leave you with a hoarse voice. Be patient with your extroverts. Remember, they're not adults and they're still learning some self-awareness. Listen to them, because if you can give them some focused attention for a few minutes, they won't fight for attention the entire group time. And also, sit near them. Trust me, a hand on the shoulder or a subtle reminder to listen is better than embarrassing them. You've also got to know your introverts. Don't forget them. They're quiet and reserved, but when you can get them to speak, you're usually glad you did. A small group might seem intimidating to an introvert, so here's a few tips. Don't forget them. They're processing their answers internally, so make sure they have a chance to contribute. Don't surprise them. They don't usually like being put on the spot, but maybe giving them a heads up that you'd love to hear from them in a minute would be a great way to give them a chance to speak up. And don't forget them. Sometimes it's better to let them sit back and observe. Number 3, know their distractions. Maybe it's a toy they brought, or a group sitting close by, or 15 trips to the bathroom. Whatever it is for your group, you can do something about it. Bring a bag for toys, make one potty break on the way to group, or try to sit very far away from another group. If you want your small group conversations to matter more, help them know each other, because you aren't the only one they need. Help them know the rest of the small group too. Here's a few ways to do that. Number 1, make group memories. These are best outside of small groups, so go see a movie, go apple picking, bake cookies, sing really loud to their favorite song. Then, during group time, talk about your memories. Number 2, build group identity. We're wired for community. Don't believe me? Go to a football game sometime. Your few want a group they can call their own too. So if you want them to see themselves as a group, you could try planning small group hangouts, coming up with a group name, inventing a small group tradition, or creating an inside joke. And when your group has a strong group identity, they'll feel like they belong. Number 3, set group guidelines. If you want your few to really know each other, your few need to feel safe, and it's a good idea to have group expectations. Get them involved and ask them some questions. What should we promise to always do? What should we promise to never do? How are we going to treat each other? Because when you set group guidelines, your few will feel safe enough to be honest in your small group conversations. And honesty is a pretty important part of getting to know each other. If you want your small group conversations to matter more, you might want to make this a part of your weekly conversation. Know them and help them know each other. Because before a kid can know God, they may need to be known by someone who knows God.